Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're looking at LinkedIn profile optimization and what recruiters actually see from your profile and how to optimize it to make it better, of course. So, before we get into the buttons and the sections, let's zoom out for a second. Your LinkedIn profile is not an online CV, it's like your professional shop window. So, it should just encapsulate your personal brand. For a lot of recruiters, it's actually the first place they check after seeing a CV. And for some, it's the first place they check in their search. And what they really ask and want when they see your LinkedIn profile is, do I understand what this person does and do they look credible? It doesn't have to be perfect. The most important thing is just looking clear. One important thing that I wanted to mention before we start is I think it's good to know what recruiters actually see on the recruiter end of LinkedIn. So for those that don't know, LinkedIn Recruiter is where they'll do a lot of their job searches and they don't have time to go through your whole profile. They'll get hundreds of applications. So what they do see is a condensed version, and that is your profile picture, your headline, your most recent roles, your most recent education, and how well your skills match the skills they're looking for in their job. So those lines are the ones that are going to carry the most weight and you need to pay most attention to. So LinkedIn really works in two directions. People search for you, so recruiters, hopefully, hiring managers, potential clients, things like that. And two, the algorithm decides who to show you to. And both of these things are driven by the same thing, and that is how clearly your profile matches what you want to be found for. So optimizing isn't about sounding impressive, having amazing things on your profile. It's about being legible, both to humans and to machines, like ATS. So let's go through how you do that. Firstly, let's look at your headline. So this right here is your headline where I've highlighted. This line right here is one of the most high impact pieces of real estate on LinkedIn. It shows up in searches, in comments, connection requests, in the recruiter filters that I talked about earlier. And most people kind of waste it by just putting in their job title. But actually, instead, you should think about it in three parts, or in this case, there's actually one, two, four parts, but same goes. You really want to mention who you are, what you do, what you're good at, and really hone in on what you can uniquely offer and, if possible, back it up with metrics. So instead of saying your job title, marketing assistant, instead you could say marketing assistant and separate it with that. Content and social media, 5+ years helping brands grow online. And that is just one little quick way to make sure you're coming up so much more. For grads, this can be quite difficult, and I think a way to overcome that is realize you don't need a fancy title. If you don't have 10+ years in blah blah blah, it's okay. You just need a direction. So if you're a psychology grad aiming for an HR role, say that. The algorithm doesn't really care about your degree, it cares about keywords and clarity. So for this, I would actually recommend using AI to help you, and I'm pretty sure this one might have been written with AI. So there's two tricks you can do. Firstly, if you're really focused on your job hunt and finding a role that you're going to love, paste all the job titles you want into ChatGPT or another AI and ask what keywords are recruiters likely searching for in this role, and then weave those keywords into your headline naturally. So don't lie, but just naturally adding them in where you can. Now, if you want to go a step further with this, what you can do is you can ask ChatGPT to write your complete headline. Before you do this, I will say don't just take what it says and run with it. Filter it, sense check it, make sure it makes sense to you because again, we're going for clarity and alignment here, not sounding the best, the most impressive. So what you can do is tell it your desired job, the experience you have, skills you've gained, maybe if you want to highlight some of those things, and ask it to generate, say, 3 different options and pick one of them. Okay, next up, my favorite part is the About section. So if I scroll down, that is this big section here. So first thing I'm going to say about the LinkedIn About section is make sure you have one. A lot of people think it's a bit of a waste of time. People won't actually read it, but I have to say, when I'm sifting through people's profiles and CVs, that's probably one of the main things that I do read. It's by far the most interesting, and it's really your chance to sell yourself, sell your story. So think of this as your 30-second who are you? You should try and include in here what you do, what you're good at, and maybe the impact you create, and then what you're aiming for. So I'll highlight that. So, what you're aiming for, my mission, that's down here. I would end with that, or end with some sort of call to action. And then what you do, that's here, more than 20 years, blah, blah, blah. And who you are. Simple, it says it right at the start. Um, and make it interesting, not in corporate speak. Say it as you normally would. So something like, I'm a marketing graduate with experience in content and social media. I enjoy turning ideas into campaigns that actually get results. And now I'm looking for a junior role where I can keep building those skills. This already tells you more than 80% of profiles. So I would expand on that, but it's a good starting point. And a tip for my grads out there, if you feel like you don't have enough to create a, what is that word? To create a credible about section, that is completely normal. And it's maybe not helping that I'm using a CEO for the example, but just describe what you're building towards, not what you've already mastered. And I think people respond to that really, really well. Okay, next up we have got the experience section, which is down here. With this section, you want to make sure that it is very up to date. You're constantly, if you've got new bit of experience, add that, add a description, because as I said before, the recent experience is what LinkedIn recruiters will see. You want to write detail here. For example, don't write responsible for social media. You want to write managed Instagram and TikTok content, increasing engagement by whatever metric, 25%. Because LinkedIn is indexed by search systems the same way ATS is scan CVs. So what that actually means is use real titles, real tools, real results if you can, even if it was a part-time job, internship, student society, get it in there. Okay, we've also got the skills section. So honestly, up until a few months ago, I did not use this. I thought it was pretty useless. But now that I've gone in and seen the recruiter backend, I can see that it's absolutely vital. So the skills are a huge part of whether LinkedIn will show your profile in recruiter searches. What I will say with this, keep them relevant. I would update them regularly, especially if you're going for roles, put in the skills that are relevant to that role, which seems obvious, but yeah, just keep changing them, sprinkling them once in a while to make sure they actually reflect you now. Also, a lot of people ask about the number of skills. I would say this it really depends and it's hard to say because there's arguments for both sides, but having 15 to 20 highly relevant endorsed skills is much better than having, well, I think you're capped at 50 anyway, but having 50 random skills. And on that endorsement piece, if you can just ask your friends, your colleagues, managers, teammates, just to endorse you once you've updated them, it doesn't take long and it can really reinforce that social credibility that we as humans rely on. If you're struggling on optimizing your skills for the jobs that you're going for, another helpful trick is you can get 5 aspirational job ads that you'd love, paste some of the job description, especially where it mentions the skills, into ChatGPT and say, what are the most common keywords across all of these? These are your skills that you want to be putting on your profile at the top, endorsed. Okay, your recommendations section is super important again. It's just down here. Okay, so yeah, there's none here, but I'm sure you know what they look like. You've seen them before. Recommendations are like your quiet credibility. It's like digital references. Um, 1 or 2 really strong specific recommendations that are recent and from people that have worked with you are worth more than 20 endorsements. If you can ask someone, just say, could you mention what I was good at and what kind of roles I'm aiming for? Or could you mention what impact I created in this project? And you can do like for like. So I'll recommend you if you recommend me. I mean, why not? That makes your whole profile way more powerful. It really reinforces all the other stuff. So try and get them if you can. Okay, moving on to the fun stuff, your photo and your banner. As I mentioned before, your photo does come up in recruiter searches and in LinkedIn connection requests, people are going to see your photo. As you can see, these people down here, you see their photo. It's important, and humans are really judgy social creatures. And as humans, we trust faces. Recruiters are human, so they want to see faces. You don't need a photo shoot. I would just go for clear, well lit, honestly facing the camera. Sorry to Nikki Denham, but facing the camera. A recent photo that looks like you is important. You don't want to be catfishing anyone. And this is a big one in a professional setting. If I can see the top of your pint at the bottom of your photo, it's not great. Save that for Instagram. LinkedIn is professional. So work clothes, work setting if you can, and that is perfect. I wouldn't stress about it. Just a simple headshot. And then in terms of your banner, there's a lot of chat about this online. I think your banner should just reinforce your personal brand. Don't think it needs to be complicated. So as you can see here, we've got the company banner. If you have one, that is great. Use that. Or you can create your own. So Canva have some really good templates for this if you want to go the extra mile, but you don't have to. I would say don't use a blurry one. Make sure it's in the right dimensions for LinkedIn banner so it's not stretched. High quality images. Don't have too much text crammed in because it just looks confusing. So one line, a nice visual is perfect. So let's say you've done all these things. Maybe your profile you don't feel is coming up in searches. My top tips are make sure even the sections we didn't talk about, make sure they are all filled in because if you leave some blank, LinkedIn will not boost your profile as much. Um, Onto posts, LinkedIn boosts people who interact. So that can be posting. That's a really good way of it. As you can see, there's a lot of posts here. But if you don't want to post, and I totally get that, comment thoughtfully on industry posts, company updates, things like that. Even liking posts or reposting with your own little thought on it is massively helpful for boosting your visibility. It just puts you in front of the right people. So I would definitely recommend that. Final thing I will just say the truth is, you don't really need any hacks or tricks or crazy things for LinkedIn profiles. It's not magic. Make sure you have all your sections filled out. You've got some good keywords in there that are relevant for the jobs you're going for. It's clear, professional, and you're good to go. If you have any questions on that, let me know. But good luck and thanks for listening.